Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for those of you who haven't met yet. My name is Richard Quigley, 2020 scholar from Trangie in Central West New South Wales, and as Tony pointed out, Cotton Australia and CRDC are my sponsors, and I'm very appreciative for that. So I thought in the graveyard shift, hopefully talking about stripping for cash might waken a few people up after afternoon tea. My Nuffield topic was really looking at increasing crop residue in zero-till farming systems. Now, why? Why would we want to do that? I can hear the Esperance farmers in the room rolling their eyes as to how they deal with their stubble already, and why would we want more? The answer for me was pretty simple. This is the eastern states from 2017 to 2020 suffered an extreme drought. We didn't have a crop for 3 years. We had 200 mils of rainfall in 2018 and 150 in 2019. And these were zero-till or are zero-till chemical fallow stubbles that we'd done our best to protect our ground cover in, but this was the reality of the situation. And this video depicts a bit of what it was like living in that scenario. This was the end of the drought in 2020. It was 5:30 in the afternoon. Should have been a beautiful, clear, sunny day, but really this was this was the reality, and it was that of red dirt blowing in from Western New South Wales, and I'm sure that we were contributing to that as well. So I'm going to go back now to 2016, where we trialled a stripper front. And now a stripper front is that blue thing that's bolted to the front of the combine harvester there that only strips the grain from the plant, the heads from the plant, and leaves the rest of the plant material where it stands. And so we trialled this and were really impressed with the concept. But the thing we really struggled with was actually keeping the grain in the combine. We hadn't done enough research at this point in terms of header setup, and this led us to, we persevered with it for a day, but actually ended up taking the front back off and continuing with the draper front to finish the rest of harvest. Now, all through the drought, this irked me as to what actually would our soils have looked like if we'd gone into the drought with much better cover. Now, probably the first thing that springs to mind for a lot of people is cover crops. Probably one thing that I'd just like to talk about is I consider myself a moisture manager, really, as much as a farmer. So we farm in a really moisture limited environment, and a lot of the places where cover crops are used are actually around the world, and what we saw around the world was actually not to store more moisture, but it was more to soak up nutrients and to prevent them running off in tile drains, like Rob was talking about earlier on, and for them to be stored in plant material, which then breaks down over the next crop, the subsequent crop, and gets returned to productive agriculture. So this is what it looked like when it finally did rain. This was the reality. So we had a lot of runoff, we had a lot of sheeting and erosion in this. And thankfully we grew a crop this year, and it was quite a good crop. 2020 was a good year in the eastern states, and we were back into production and grew some really good ground cover, which was great. Now, something else that was is of a focus to us is residue management. I'm not sure it looks like a beautiful drone image. Actually just took it off the internet, but here 2 headers are stripping away. It looks really nice, but the cynic in me actually looks at that and goes, look at the residue management over here. And that particularly matters as a lot of modern grain farmers have moved to 12 metre, or not necessarily 12 metre, but controlled traffic farming systems, driving in exactly the same spot every year. And if we're distributing our residue only over a certain part of the swath, we're creating a really inequality of nutrients and nutrients, ground cover, and organic matter, and soil organic carbon, and all those things, and also our moisture storing capability across the width of our swath. This for us in 2000, was 2017, and we planted chickpeas behind a big wheat crop in 2016, 5 tonne to the hectare, and this crop cost us a lot of money from residue management. And this, as we know, seeding starts at harvest, and the poor spread cost us money, the poor establishments cost us money, and so too would have burning it from losing organic matter and also the nutrients and the ability to store moisture. And at that point, little did we know we were going into a screaming drought. So the question became, or still became, why can't we leave the crop where it stands? So from my opinion, going through the drought and seeing those things, we needed to make this system work. We needed to work out how to get these stripper fronts to work, keep the grain in the combine, and then work out how to plant through the straw later on. Because for me, it was just imperative to our business. Now, and this is where my Nuffield topic was born. And then COVID-19 happened, as we all know. We were, like the rest of the 2020s, we were bags packed at the CSC and about to fly out on our global focus program, and we got turned around, as Andrew Fiala and Rob Bradley were talking about, turned around and sent home, and which was absolutely the right decision. But like business didn't stop COVID. COVID didn't stop business. We had to continue to press on just because my research topic has paused. We had to press on and continue to do our own research without being able to do my travel, because we needed this in our farming system. So a lot of the experiences that you're actually going to see today are our own trial and error, and for that reason. So in 2020, we actually went out and purchased 2 stripper fronts, and at that point, we were financially committed and had to make it work. How to set up, it's a pretty complex topic, and I'm probably not going to touch on it, because anyone who is interested can come and have a chat with me afterwards, because I don't want to bore the rest of you to tears. So we went through and we stripped all of our 2020 wheat crop, had a tremendous result, kept grain in the header, and and this is what we thought 2021 seeding was going to look like. But thankfully, this was few and far between, and it really looked like this. We planted canola into these heavy wheat straws with a single disc machine and 2 kilos to the hectare canola. Got 20 to 30 plants to the square metre up, and we're amazed, because honestly I was petrified at the time. But probably what it did prove is the ability of single disc planters to penetrate really high residue loadings. And this also was pretty similar with a double disc planter, really impressing me as to how much stubble they could get through. So what it comes down to, the advantages of the strip and disc system. For us, the more ground cover that we can keep on the ground, the more we can reduce evaporation, increase infiltration, suppress weeds, and at the end of the day, grow more crop with the moisture that we have available to us. Among the other benefits of harvesters of increasing capacity and reducing fuel burn. It was interesting that the theme of storing more moisture and growing more crop was really common around the world, but it was actually for different purposes or different ways of doing that. And particularly in the US and Canada, they were using stripper fronts to catch more straw, for the straw to catch more snow, and then for the snow melt to melt, and then and give them more plant available water to grow the crop with. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and say that there aren't any disadvantages of this system, because there are plenty, but they're not things that I don't think we can work through. But to name a few, the capital cost, it's another front, another machine you have to own and maintain. And for the same reasons that it benefits you in the summer, it actually hinders you in the winter by reduced soil temperature, increasing incidence in frost, and reduced metabolic rate early on. This is an example of seedling frost in canola. This was in 2021. Got the crop up and established, and thought we're out of the woods, and suffered a frost in late May or mid to late May. I can't exactly remember, and we had a lot of seedling death. Thankfully, this plant survived, and our plant stand survived. It was okay, but we would have lost 30% of our plants to seedling frost. And so, as you can see, the cotyledons have been burnt off, but the growing tip continued to grow and push out. So, what's all this got to do with cotton production? Firstly, a lot of cotton growers are mixed farmers and grow wheat and other crops as well. But also the stripping concept, or the high residue concept, is really is compatible with dryland cotton, sprinkler irrigated cotton, and drip irrigated cotton, for the same principles. The more we can reduce evaporation, increase infiltration, keep water where it falls, we're going to grow more crop per drop, no matter what the crop is. And this was an example that was in under the centre pivot was in Lubbock, Texas. Well, it wasn't actually Lubbock, but it was just nearby at near Panhandle, and this was a dryland crop in Lubbock, Texas, that also, for exactly the same reasons, storing more moisture and growing more crop, but also actually to for insect management and reducing sandblasting. Now, stripper straw is not overly compatible with conventional irrigated cotton, so 1 metre hills and 2 metre beds. We have experimented with it, but the nature of the tillage that's required to do that, to pull a 1 metre bed or 2 metre hill to actually furrow irrigate, proved pretty challenging with the stripper straw. So, from my point of view, it wasn't overly compatible with that, but nothing that a mulcher and incorporation wouldn't fix, or put the draper front back on when you get into your furrow irrigated fields. Now, the take-home messages for me really were that the strip and disc system will enhance the zero-till farming system. If we can store an additional 10% of our fallow moisture, say of 250 mils, if we can store another 10% of that and make that available to our crop, at 20 kilos per mil, that's half a tonne of wheat. And half a tonne of wheat at today's prices is $200 a hectare. And for us, that's without actually costing you any more to grow that. So it's all margin. And that for us is another 3% return on asset. So I think that a small gain will make a big difference. I also think that high residue, we know that high residue loadings will reduce water usage in crop and allow us to increase our water use efficiency in our cotton production. I would like to just say thank you to Nuffield Australia for organising and facilitating our Global Focus program, and all the people that we visited along our way on our personal travel and in the GFP, and to Nicola and Jody and the rest of the Nuffield team for all their hard work. My sponsor, Cotton Research and Development Corporation, and Cotton Australia, as well as my family and the team at home on our family farm for keeping the show running while we were away and doing a fantastic job. And also my lovely wife Alexandra, who's here in the crowd today, and the support from Louis Dreyfus we had while we were travelling around as well. And I probably want to leave you with one thing, is that if we always do as we've always done, we'll always get what we always got. Thank you.